Hi, this is Jim with the Crystal Beach String Band. When I'm in town, I listen to WMNF Tampa.
The opinions presented on the Healthy Steps show are the evidence-based opinions of Dr. Fred Harvey, the callers, and his guests. These are not the opinions of the staff, the volunteers, or the board of WMNF. The information provided on the show is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. There is no implied patient-physician relationship in these calls. The nature of the calls is educational and informational only.
Hello there, my venerable listeners. I cannot thank you enough for keeping your radio dial tuned to WMNF Tampa, your resistance radio station from Tampa Bay to the Gulf of Mexico, and the only majestic little community radio station that Virgil Tibbs would ever dare stream, regardless if it is in the heat of the night or the cool of the day. And you can stream us as well at WMNF.org. Today is Ask Me Anything Monday. Have you been sitting at home with some medical questions or concerns? Do you know someone with some unexplained aches that you might want to help? Are you finally getting tired of all those foul rabbit holes and warrens that you've gotten yourself into in the vast wasteland of the internet? Quit making life harder on yourself than it already is. Just give us a call at 813-239-9663. Sage is sitting in the control room patiently, just waiting to take your call. So once again, that number to call is 813-239-9663. You can also send an email to dj@wmnf.org or text us at 813-433-0885. Good morning to you, Dr. Harvey. You've got another Ask Me Anything ready for us today, so let's get started. What have you got ahead for us?
Well, good morning, Bill, and thanks for that intro.
Always my pleasure, and good morning to you there, Doctor, and to all of our listeners.
Absolutely. And today starts, it's actually started yesterday, but this is Women in Medicine Month. But I got to go back to last month, Women's Health Month, because just at the end of the month was published a very important study. It is a study about women's health, and it's a study titled Forecasting the Burden of Cardiovascular Disease in Women in the United States through 2050, a scientific statement from the American Heart Association. The depressing part of it is that the prevalence of cardiovascular risk factors and disease in women and girls will increase over the next 30 years, and we really need to focus on how to work to prevent this. And some of the statistics are just really crazy. And we're looking at some of the reasons that it's happening. And we see actually an increase in diabetes, an increase in obesity, an increase in hypertension, but a drop in cholesterol. Despite the drop in cholesterol, we're seeing an increase in heart and cardiovascular disease because cholesterol is not the cause for it. It does help to improve the risk if you decrease the cholesterol, but there's all these other things going on that are impacting the population. And we can see that it appears that some of the health behaviors like physical activity is decreasing, poor diet, more people with poor diet, more sleep problems. Smoking has actually decreased. That's a good thing. But what we're seeing is an increase in all of these things like atrial fibrillation, heart failure, coronary heart disease, and stroke. It's just really impressive what we're seeing. And it's even in young people. And that's kind of the frightening part. We're seeing this occur in 20-year-olds. When you look at the ratios of the risk, you can see that in the 20-somethings, the rate is going up. In 30-somethings, it's also going up. Every age group is having an increase in these risks, and every race is. The problem is already, though, that Blacks and Asians have higher heart disease than Caucasians. It seems that people of Hispanic heritage have less. There's not a good explanation for this in this study, but overall, everyone is predicted to get worse. And this is by 2050. So what we're looking at is the trend in what's going on in everything in our lives that is contributing to this increase. We have increased stress, obviously, and stress results in increased risk in a bunch of different ways. And unfortunately, we have issues with emotional eating that go along with that stress. And that contributes to obesity. But one of the biggest contributors across the board to obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, and the risk of heart disease and cancer is toxicity. And that's something that's not very well addressed. I mean, the current health administration is trying a little bit to do something about it, but they're realizing they're coming up against the fascist wall. I think that there was some good intention with MAHA to try and get rid of artificial dyes out of food, but they ran up against the fascist wall called capitalism, and they got pushback from the profit makers. And they were told, stop talking about this, and we're not going to do anything about it. And it's become voluntary. While at the same time, glyphosate, which is proven to be contributory to the same toxicity issues, increases in all kinds of illness. This other administration, not the health administration, but the agriculture production administration, decided that we need to increase production of glyphosate, another toxin, because we need to actually spray more food with toxins to make sure that more people get exposed to toxins, it appears. And so they tell us that it's really necessary to use glyphosate to get good crop yields, but in actuality, it's poor agriculture practices that require the use of the herbicides and pesticides. Good agriculture practices don't. And so there's a mix of a balance we can get here, but there's no balance in the current state of industrial agriculture. And so we know that herbicides, these PFAS forever chemical herbicides, contribute to overall toxicity and also are associated with increased risk for diabetes and heart disease. So if you're eating glyphosate-laden, PFAS-laden, herbicide-laden foods, you might be at more risk. And that's what's happening here because we're not doing anything about it. And so you're on your own when it comes to the American government. And so that's why groups like the Environmental Working Group, EWG.org, those people actually put out an annual assessment of food. They look at the Department of Agriculture's assessment of how much pesticide and herbicide happen to be in our food substances, and they create the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. The Dirty Dozen is actually 14, 15, maybe 16 things, but they call it the Dirty Dozen because it's easier. And that group of foods has so much pesticide and herbicide and fungicide in it that you don't want to eat it if it doesn't say organic. So potatoes, highest fungicide level. There was a report a couple years ago where they found a peach that had 17 different pesticides and herbicides on it. So peaches, strawberries, blueberries, kale, hot peppers, bell peppers, iceberg lettuce. All these things are toxic if you don't get organic because you're eating pesticides, herbicides, and other swill. And if you get the Clean 15, those are fruits and vegetables that either do not have pesticides in them because the skin's too thick, or they don't bother spraying them because no pests eat them, like onions, garlic. They just don't get bothered. Cabbage doesn't tend to get bothered. So cabbages tend to be really clean. They don't spray cabbage. And so there are ways you can avoid some of this toxicity. Toxic metals are a little bit harder. A group of toxic metals, arsenic, lead, and cadmium, are significantly associated with heart failure because they cause vascular damage, they cause muscle damage, they cause inflammation. A mixture of these metals is linked to 38 to 55% higher risk of heart failure, with cadmium specifically causing a 15% increased risk. You get 0.4 micrograms of cadmium in every cigarette smoked. I'm really glad that cigarette use is going down because it wasn't necessarily the nicotine and the smoke. It was the nasty junk that was in the putrid stuff that these tobacco companies put in the cigarettes. Yeah, they don't care what you're going to smoke. In fact, it doesn't matter to them at all. They just want you to pay them for the privilege of poisoning yourself. And that goes for most of our industrial food companies, because we're finding out that ultra-processed foods create these problems too. And ultra-processed foods tend to have all these nasty chemicals in them. And they're stripped of all the good nutrients that would normally be in them. And so it's toxicity and lack of good nutrition that are some of the biggest impacts on the heart. And it's unfortunate that we're seeing women continue to increase in their risk of vascular disease and heart attack. And it's just a really sad situation. I'd like to discuss this situation more and other things. If you'd like to call me here at the WMNF on the Healthy Step Show.
Absolutely there. And I want to say, just hang on a few minutes and we'll be back. But I want to remind everyone that you are listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. And I am inviting you personally to participate by giving us a call at 813-239-9663. Sage is in the control room, is expressly waiting to take your call. So that number, once again, is 813-239-9663. And you can send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. Back to you there, Doctor.
Well, since we have no callers and no emails yet, I wanted to mention one thing. Thank everyone. Thank you all for contributing to WMNF and to the show. We reached the goal, and that is wonderful. Let's keep this family really flush. In the meantime, I got an email from a friend, and it is a clinical story that I'd like to talk about. Because it's one of those ones that's, again, it's impactful in the way we need to really take time to look at people and what's going on. My friend has a friend, and he is just not able to call in. And so his story is that this is a 63-year-old man who is an avid bicyclist. For years, he bicycled to work daily. 20 years, I think. And then in 2024, he changed jobs and was no longer able to bike to work daily. He does continue to bike, but it's not the same. He doesn't smoke. He's never had an alcohol use problem, and he is vegetarian and has been and was vegan for a time. In 2025, a work trauma really hit him hard, and it triggered severe anxiety and depression. He developed lots of really cumbersome symptoms. He had terrible insomnia. He got progressively more irritable, and he started getting some muscle twitching. He finally decided to talk to his primary care doctor, hoping that he would get a referral to a specialist. But the doctor said, hey, let's treat your symptoms instead of looking at what is functionally wrong, which is, the approach from the 4-minute visit for the primary care doctor, because that's really all the time they have. Slap a label on it and throw a pill at it. It's sad, but it seems to be the case. I know that there are some that really try to go the extra mile, but in our current situation where doctors are commodities of big corporations and get paid by insurance companies for little bits of work, it doesn't work very well. And so they offered him sertraline, Zoloft. Started him at 50 milligrams. It did nothing for the symptoms and didn't seem to have any adverse consequences at that point, so they increased the dose. And over the course of about a year, it ramped up to 200 milligrams. By 200 milligrams, Tom had recognized that the adverse effects that had occurred with the first 50 milligram dose had become much worse and really remarkable. Thirst had increased. He was always thirsty. He had hesitation with urination, so he was having trouble urinating. And then he had started to have massive amounts of hair loss. And that really bothered him. So he went to see the doctor again. The doctor said, well, let's decrease the dose of the thing that's causing all these problems to 100 milligrams and add a new one called Trintellix. And we'll just do that at a small dose of 5 milligrams. Immediately, the man became jittery 24/7 and had all the same sertraline adverse effects and no real benefit. He mentioned that he'd been taking some good vitamins, a good, strong, active B vitamin complex, zinc, a good multivitamin, multimineral, a curcumin extract for inflammation, a very good vitamin C and vitamin D. And so he had some, general support. I don't see any fish oil on there. He's vegan. And that brings to a question, is his brain failing because he has no omega-3 fatty acids? It's a real common thing. I've seen it in vegans before, especially ones that won't eat flax oil because they don't like the taste of it. And so there's an issue here that I see his primary care doctor was negligent. Not according to the current standard of care in our world, but in terms of human healthcare, yeah, because this doctor did not evaluate why this man had a problem. One of the other things that we notice is that his exercise pattern changed. Vigorous exercise, is known to take care of depression and anxiety. It helps to reduce those symptoms. And so could it be that he has a combination of a lack of physical exercise, a lack of omega-3 fatty acids, and that's what's causing his brain dysfunction? It's a good question that has not been answered by his primary care because, as far as I know, I don't have any labs, but it wasn't talked about. No one checked an omega-3 level. Why? It's a really simple test to do. Nobody apparently checked toxicity levels. And I think in this day and age, knowing what we know about these things, to not check an omega-3 level in somebody who has brain dysfunction is negligence. It should be standard of care, but it's not. And so we have some work to do in educating the medical establishment about how to actually approach healthcare, because they don't do it. They just do illness care of symptoms for the most part. There are some really good things in Western medicine, but the failure to recognize this man's dysfunction and put him on medication without doing any kind of evaluation is terrible. And if you have anything to say about that kind of care, please give me a call here. This is the Healthy Steps Show on WMNF Tampa.
Absolutely it is. And I do have Tom from St. Pete in the queue, but he is the only bird in the tree. So I want to invite you to participate in the Healthy Steps radio show here on WMNF Tampa by giving us a call at 813-239-9663. Again, Sage, thanks for handling the phones. And I want to say again, the number to call is 813-239-9663. And you can send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. Let's go to Tom. He's been waiting patiently. Good morning to you, Tom.
Good morning.
Hello, Tom. What do you have for us?
Organic produce. It's affordable. It's plentiful. It's everywhere. Don't buy anything else. There's a lot of organic shops around. Roll Notes, I'll shout out again, because everything they sell in their produce is organic. You don't have to go in there and search for which one's organic and which one's not. You just look, and whatever's in season, you'll see the prices are better than the things that aren't. Even some of the chain stores, you look around. There's organic. You got to hunt and pick for your organics, but there's organic potatoes and tomatoes and green apples and in those stores that are very reasonably priced, and there's really almost no reason not to get organic. But there is a reason, because it still costs more in most places, and there are food deserts, and it's really difficult sometimes for people to access it, which is why I believe that the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 is a great guide, because you don't have to buy everything organic, especially when it's more expensive. True, and I should have said there's little reason to not buy organic. If you're in a food desert, although in St. Pete, you only got to go so far to get to one. It's just not that far, unless your transportation inhibited. But what I wanted to talk to you about is detoxification.
Yes.
Because we are, no matter how much organic and how pure the foods are, that you're still breathing air, and you're still living on the earth in America, and you're driving your car or whatever. You're on the roads, and there's just toxins. We have a toxic load, just like we have a viral load.
Right.
And I don't think that we've talked about detoxification enough here. I certainly haven't asked you about it specifically, and that's why I'm calling today, because, I've heard about chelation for heavy metals, and I've heard about, a lot of detox programs where, you got to do it gently because you don't want to get all the toxins flooding out into your bloodstream all at one time. But give me your top picks for methods of detoxification.
Great. I think the first one is exactly what I just discussed. Avoid the toxins.
Oh, yeah.
Really, you got to try to do that. But in the meantime, like you said, we walk out the door here, and on the coast of Florida, we're living in an Environmental Protection Agency red zone for atmospheric mercury because of all of the burn off of the vapors from all of the oil in the Gulf and over in Houston. And so, it's everywhere. And so avoiding it is important, but then how do you get rid of it? Well, one of the ways is to make sure that you've got enough calories in your diet, because you need to have enough calories to run your basic metabolism plus extra to do the detox metabolism, or you're not going to detox. Detox is heavily dependent on protein. Much of the detox goes through the liver, and you need amino acids to do the detox. So if you're protein malnourished, if you're a vegan and don't eat enough protein, then you're in a detox quandary. You're behind the eight ball there. And so you need to make sure that you're getting supplementation of things like N-acetylcysteine, glycine, and glutamine to be able to make enough glutathione to do the detox. Taurine is also another detox molecule. Anything with methyl groups in it is to help with detox. And so you want to boost up your B vitamins and make sure you're getting methyl B, methylfolate, and active Bs to help with the process, because all the enzymes that do detox run with B vitamin and usually a magnesium, zinc, or other selenium cofactor. So you need your trace minerals as well. And the way you get that is to eat a good organic diet with lots of vegetables, like 7 to 10 servings of vegetables a day, 2 servings of fruit. You're going to get your minerals. You're going to get the panoply of vitamins. And red meat will give you the B12 that's not available in most other places. But if you want to kick up the detox a bit more, focus on the detox plants like the brassicas. They have really strong detox support. So do the sulfur vegetables, all the allium group, the onions, garlic, and shallots. And then you have the mushrooms, which also contain sulfur. Sulfur is a big detox. So all of your fungus is a really good detox support. And then all of your vegetables have fiber. Soluble fiber helps you poop. When you poop, you get rid of toxins. And if you don't poop more than once a day, then you're holding on to more toxins than you need. These are all basic, easy detox things that everybody could do as healthy steps. Walking and sweating is another detox method.
Get that
How's that help you, Tom?
going. Yeah, absolutely. Are you familiar with any of these detox teas?
Detox teas, the Essiac tea and other kinds of teas, they actually help to stimulate some ongoing detox. I prefer to actually just eat the foods on a regular basis, and also I use a homeopathic remedy called Drainage or Drainer, 2 different companies, same formula, and it tells your body energetically to open up and let go of toxins.
Perfect. And there's our list. Thank you, Doc. Have a good day.
You're so welcome. Have a great day, man. Good luck on detox.
Thank you there, Tom. Appreciate you calling on in, as always. And I want to remind folks that, yes, you are listening to the Healthy Steps radio show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. And if there's any confusion, the only number to call for reaching the Healthy Steps radio show and get you right on into the queue is 813-239-9663. Again, that number is 813-239-9663. And you can join Steve and Jimmy. And you can also send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. Let's go to Steve in Tampa. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, good morning, and thank you very much for taking my call and also for the good information you always provide. Doc, I just wanted to ask you what you think of gene methylation testing.
Gene methylation testing. Are you talking about looking at whether or not your DNA is methylated or looking at your methylation genes?
Well, all I'm saying is I see a lot of advertisement these days on, talking about gene methylation testing. And I think it's just seeing, I don't completely understand what they're looking for when they do the testing. So I know they're looking at your genes to see if you're, I guess, absorbing certain vitamins or not absorbing certain things. And I'll take my answer off the air.
So, so DNA methylation is about possibly about looking at, there's two things here. Your DNA is methylated to protect it. And the least, if you have lower DNA methylation, then your DNA is at risk for damage. But then there's another whole thing. When you look at what they're talking about, like there's a company called True Diagnostic and Life DNA, and that what they're offering here is it's analyzing specific gene variants, SNPs, they're called single nucleotide polymorphisms, SNPs. And the two that they're really looking at are MTHFR and COMT. Methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase is a gene that codes for an enzyme, or actually MTHFR is the gene that codes for an enzyme, methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase, which converts folic acid into methylfolic acid, which makes it a more powerful protector for the body. COMT, catechol O methyltransferase, is a gene that codes for an enzyme that helps transfer a methyl group from one substance like methyl B12 to another substance to detoxify it or to alter it. And so MTHFR and COMT would be like genetic methylation testing. And it is valid, but it's not the only thing that is out there. People put a lot of weight on this genetic combination. It may or may not actually have that much impact. It's important, but I think it's also important then to look at things that aren't looked in the gene test, and that's methylmalonic acid, which is an evidence that B12 methylation is working. FIGLU, FIGLU, that's a evidence that folic acid methylation is working. And then there's another test called 8-hydroxydeoxyguanosine, easily said as 8-OHDG, 8-OHDG. That one looks at DNA damage. If you have increased DNA damage, then you know that you're not methylating enough. So there's a bunch of ways to look at this indirectly, but looking at the genes just tells you whether or not you have efficient or inefficient methylation going on in the body. It's a complex issue. We could spend a whole day on a masterclass on this, but the bottom line is, if you don't eat red meat, take a methyl B complex vitamin. It's worth it. And I think we have somebody else on the line.
Yes, we do. We've got a couple of people. I've got Jimmy I'll go to right now, and then Sandra waiting in the queue, and an unknown just showing on up. Let's go to Jimmy in Sarasota. Good morning to you.
Hey, I'll try to make mine pretty quick. You're speaking about treating symptoms and not like the cause really
Right.
resounded in me. I suffer from chronic pancreatitis that was diagnosed about 5 years ago.
Yes.
Before that, I modified my diet, was more like lacto-ovo, but had no idea that by being a vegetarian, I have issues with absorption of B12. So currently, to combat the anxiety and depression I am on monthly injections of B12. For muscle cramping that I have, whenever I feel like I'm going to start cramping up because of maybe I not drinking my 2-3 liters of water a day. I will take some. I can't remember what it's magnesium. I can't remember which variety of magnesium it is, but it's really easily digestible.
That's good.
So,
Magnesium on a daily basis is a good thing because 400 enzyme systems in your body need it to run.
So then the other part of it is now I'm suffering from neuropathy, and for the neuropathy in my feet, I was told that I should eat more protein. So now I'm in the process of trying to get more protein in my diet while balancing, what affects me with my chronic pancreatitis, and taking my enzymes anytime I eat, as well as gout that persists from not having enough liquid inside of me. So I just wanted to add to the story and say there's options out there that lots of doctors don't listen to. You eventually need to find a doctor that's going to listen to you. And lots of times, like me, for being diagnosed with chronic pancreatitis, I jumped through all the different hoops that you had to. And, CT scans, I was even treated like I had back injuries and stuff and physical therapy and stuff. And finally, it was like I was with one doctor that stuck with me and said, this is not going to be covered by insurance, but we're going to give you, I want to say it was like ERCP or something. It was like a upper endoscopy that had ultrasound that's on it that was able to look at it and find I have scar tissue. So
endoscopic pancreatic ultrasound, very good test, and your insurance should pay for it. We have a problem in our country where necessary testing is withheld because the profit for the stockholder might be affected.
So they found it. It's to me, it's like a success story. Granted, I'm still. It's the ongoing process of dealing with that. So
did you know that gout? Did you know that gout is promoted by fructose?
Well, yeah, I've tried to decrease my sugar intake to minimal amounts of sugar, but that fruit. I mean, how do you get rid of strawberries or bananas or anything that has that fructose in it? How do you eliminate that from you?
You don't want to eliminate it. It's just putting it in balance. So if you're not doing fruit juices and you're not having added fructose, you're in a good place. But there's a good book that my friend and colleague David Perlmutter wrote called Drop Acid.
Drop acid? I don't have that one yet.
And it's about dropping your uric acid because it affects so many systems. That would be maybe something that would give you some extra insight into how to control this more dietarily, since you're interested in that.
What's the name of the author?
David Perlmutter, Perlmutter, Drop Acid.
Okay. I mean, I may have that because I have so many books on controlling your diet,
He just published that last year or 2 years ago.
Okay, so maybe I don't have that, but awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a great day.
You as well.
Thank you, Jimmy, and good luck with that. I do have Sandra in Bradenton, but I'm going to make her wait just a teasing moment while I remind folks you are listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. If you have any medical questions or concerns, give us a call at 813-239-9663. Again, the number to call is 813-239-9663. And continue to send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. Good morning to you, Sandra.
Good morning, Dr. Harvey.
Good morning, Sandra.
Thank you for all the great info you provide us each week.
You're very welcome.
My question today would be your advice on treating a Baker's cyst.
A Baker's cyst.
Behind the knee.
Yeah. There's really not a lot to do. Draining them doesn't help because they come back. A Baker's cyst is a kind of a balloon that pops out the back side of the synovial, that's the joint capsule that surrounds the knee. And it's associated with degenerative joint disease arthritis. Once it occurs, this balloon, it's like a hemorrhoid. It's just like there. and it can cause pain. It can be annoying. Some people have tried to remove the fluid from them. I think the only real actual therapy would be to actually open it up and cut it out, but most people won't do that because it doesn't actually cause the damage. It's actually a result of the damage.
Yes. And I like to play a lot of tennis, so it's slowing me down.
So what does the orthopedic surgeon say about it?
Well, I haven't gone that far yet. I was told that PRP is a new technique for treating it, but
and who told you that? Someone who sells PRP?
Another tennis friend. But yeah, other than the rest and the ice and anti-inflammatories, I guess that's really what I've been doing.
So, it appears that the people that say that PRP therapy is an effective treatment for the Baker's cyst are clinics that actually do PRP for Baker's cysts. But so if you're in acute pain, just doing local care like icing it or compressing it, elevating it, ibuprofen might help if it's painful. But that's the thing. It's like if it's not painful, do you do anything? And if you drain it, what's the next step? Do corticosteroids help? I think it really would be useful to sit down with two doctors, one that actually does the PRP stem cell kind of approach, probably not an orthopedist, and then go to an orthopedic surgeon and get their opinions. Because it's not a complex issue, but it's not something that people get aggressive and treat that way. So it's worth it hearing what other people who do treat it have to say about it and make your decision that way based on your symptoms and what you think sounds logical from them, because there's really no right way to do it.
Sure. No, I know. I have read a lot about it, but it's just annoying more than anything because, you want
to like to play tennis and it bothers you when you play tennis, right?
Yeah. Afterwards.
Does it help to put a knee brace on it? A elastic knee brace?
It helps. It makes it feel more supportive, but afterwards I find that it's swollen even more. But
that makes sense. You're putting pressure on it, and it's pushing on structures from behind also then. So it's like you're pushing the cyst into your knee where it's going to cause more symptom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and then my other question would be if you have any advice about joint supplements for, if I do have, arthritis developing, if there's anything to combat that.
Yeah, you might want to take a combination of something that has some omega-3s, like green lip mussel is apparently something that shows up in a lot of these supplements. I don't think you necessarily need green lip mussel, but there are some fats in there that help. But just taking omega-3s, curcumin, and maybe some glucosamine sulfate.
Got it. Okay, yeah, I'm already taking some of those. So, okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Have a great day, and good luck with that, sis.
Bye-bye.
Thank you there, Sandra. And we're down to about the last 15 minutes, so I'm just going to give the number on out one more time, and we might be able to work a few more folks on in. I've got Gina and Cindy waiting. But if you want to participate in the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey this Monday morning, just give us a call at 813-239-9663 and continue to send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. Good morning, Cindy. How are you doing today? Are you there, Cindy? I'm sorry, Gina.
Yes. Hi.
My fault.
Hi, Gina.
Hi, Dr. Harvey. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. Well, not so good. I want to say thank you to my friend Kathy, who just told me I needed to turn your show on right now and call you. So kind of feeling like this was divine intervention somehow.
Kathy.
I have been dealing with severe iron deficiency anemia for the past 2 years. I also have like stage 3 chronic kidney disease, which the kidneys were basically destroyed by a flu shot in 2009. So
Okay.
I was a nurse at the time. I don't do any more shots, but my kidneys were very affected.
Yes.
So for the past 2 years, I've been literally living like a zombie. My body will just give out. My heart rate goes to up to 200, and this past week, my heart actually flatlined. The ambulance had to inject me with something, paddle me back. But up till now, the doctors have said they don't know the root cause. I don't think they're really trying to find out. But their answer is to just continuously give me blood and iron infusions and Procrit shots. So I keep telling them that's just a Band-Aid. We need to figure out what's happening. And I took it upon myself about 3 months ago to start a parasite cleanse. And I feel like I have opened the gates of hell, literally, because what I am photographing coming out of me is just insane. I've detected about 7 different kinds right now. And I don't feel like there's any end in sight. I've just been doing like a easy herbal protocol because I'm afraid to do something too harsh on my kidneys.
Yeah.
But
So if you've been doing that for 3 months, I would say it's time to stop it. 3 months is way too long to persist on a parasite cleanse.
Yeah, I was doing like a week off in between each month.
And then another thing you might want to do is actually get somebody to do a real stool test on you and find out if you do have any current parasites after doing all that cleansing.
I did, and even at the beginning of it, and they wanted to give me a psych referral. They said, of course, it's coming from a GI. Parasites
so they didn't do a real stool test. If it's a GI doctor and you didn't go to a functional GI doctor, you didn't get a real stool test. You got one of those half baked ones from Quest or whatever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So why don't you get a real stool test? Genova Diagnostics does one called the GIFX, and Doctors Data Incorporated does one called the GI 360, I believe. And those actually look at the real important stuff that gastroenterologists don't care about it because they scope.
Yeah.
And this guy scoped you and found nothing? Your GI scoped you and found nothing?
Oh, yeah. He said, there's nothing, and I am totally crazy for thinking there is. Even though I'm showing him the pictures of everything coming out of me, I think he thinks I'm just pulling these up on, Google or something. And
well, I think that's not even the most salient point here. The real salient point is that you have ongoing iron deficiency anemia, and the gastroenterologist hasn't diagnosed it, and they just keep giving you blood and iron infusions without figuring out why it is you're losing.
Right. Yeah. They said it's not coming from a GI bleed. I'm menopausal, so I haven't gotten a period in 5 years. Not coming from that. So
why aren't you absorbing iron through your stomach?
Right.
You have celiac disease?
That was negative, but I'm not sure I believe it because I'm very, very gluten intolerant.
Well, if they had done some biopsies of your villi, they could tell you whether or not you have damaged villi, which would be the reason you wouldn't absorb iron. So there might be some other reason, but you deserve a functional workup. You have a lot of stuff going on here that's just not just the iron deficiency anemia.
Yeah, because, it literally plummets to my hemoglobin to like 5 and my iron ferritin to 3. So I'm losing a lot. So, and I tried a functional doctor in Tampa, but I don't think they were really very skilled in this. So do you have a recommendation of a good one?
I would go to ifm.org and do a search for within maybe 100 miles of where you live.
ORG. Okay. Yeah, I'm in the Tampa area, so.
Yeah, there's lots of us in the area. And I think you'll be able to find someone who can walk you through this.
Okay. All right. Hope so. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
For your help. Okay. Have a good day. Bye.
You too.
And best wishes to you there, Gina. Let's go to Cindy in St. Pete. Good morning, Cindy. Finally got to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi there.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah. I am just leaving my vascular surgeon, and I had sonograms done of my carotid, my legs, and my abdomen. And he said my carotid is beautiful, but I have blockage of I guess it's the aorta in the abdomen of 75%. And I was just diagnosed with DVT, edema of lower extremities, and varicose veins of BIL, lower extremities with complications. So he recommended that I get an EVLT, that's endovascular laser treatment for the legs. That's not invasive, so I don't think that would be a problem. But he will. Oh, go ahead.
But he diagnosed DVT, deep venous thrombophlebitis.
Yeah, from the sonogram.
Well, that's an acute condition that requires immediate care with anticoagulation and other things. If you truly have DVT, that is a life-threatening condition, and if they're not treating it, other than by recommending zapping your veins, there's a problem here.
That's what I thought.
I would immediately find out what that report means. I mean, if you have DVT, you're at jeopardy for that clot breaking off and going into your lung and causing a pulmonary embolism. This is not a good situation, and I don't know what those people are telling you, but what you're telling me sounds dangerous, like emergency department dangerous.
Okay, and he wasn't that like alarmed, like he didn't.
Yeah, well, I would call that office and say, "What are you talking about? No alarm with DVT? Is this DVT or is it not DVT? You're scaring me." And go to an ER if they tell you it's DVT.
Okay. All right. So he just recommended baby aspirin. He didn't recommend blood thinners.
Baby aspirin for DVT is dangerous.
Oh, boy. So I was thinking of getting a second opinion of these sonograms if my insurance company will pay for it.
Are you there, Doc?
Yeah, I'm right here. I was just thinking. I did a little bit of research again online. I really think that this person doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, the first line therapy is a blood thinner, injectable heparin in the hospital. Then you change the person to oral medication like apixaban or rivaroxaban, which is what's that? I'm blanking on the name. Eliquis and similar medications. You need to get somebody to look at this. Yeah, it's a serious, potentially life-threatening complication waiting for you if this is what these people are telling you.
Yeah, well, I'd have the
I'd hang up now and call 911 or get in the car and go to the ER and not even worry about these people. Let somebody evaluate you who's not giving you misdirection.
Really?
Really, I'm concerned. Deep venous thrombophlebitis is a potentially life-threatening condition. Please get therapy now.
Okay.
Bye. Have a good day. No more talk. Get off the phone and deal with it.
All right. Bye.
See you later.
All right, and best wishes to you there, Cindy. Take care of that now. And let's
Okay, thank you.
All right. And let's go to Lisa in St. Pete. Good morning, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Are you there, Lisa?
Hello?
Hi, Lisa.
Yes.
What do you have for us today?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think they said that we were on hold for the next show. I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll keep you in the queue for sustainable living.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. And let's go on, I guess, to emails. I have no other callers in the queue.
All right. I got a few here. Let's see. Well, this is an interesting approach. This gentleman, Peter, from, let's see, where is he? I think St. Pete, was playing tennis in California with his dad in the 80s. There were two Filipino gentlemen, one obese and the other one quite thin. A few months went by, and then he saw the heavyset gentleman again, and he was just as thin as the other gentleman. And Pete asked, how did he lose the weight? He said, well, I just kept eating everything that I used to eat, but I quit having the second and third portions. I'd have a half a bag of chips and then wait and see what happens. And then I'd have, one serving of meat and then wait instead of having 2 or 3. And so that makes a lot of sense. Just control excessive consumption. It's so practical. Here's one, omega-3. Did I miss it? How do you test for it? So omega-3 testing is easy. Quest does it. It's called an omega-3 index. Genova Diagnostics does one that's a bit more broad. And there are some other companies out there, these really, really wide open assessments of your fat panel, so to speak. But I find that even just finding out the ratio between omega-6 and omega-9 on the Quest test is sufficient. And Quest and Genova both work with some insurance companies, Medicare especially, and so you can get these tests covered. And they should be part of a regular annual exam. Are your omegas adequate? Because if they aren't, you're dying. Let's see, here's another one. Hi, Dr. Harvey. Let's see. Have you learned anything new about inflammatory long COVID and what's causing it? So many people are suffering. Well, actually, it's pretty much the same issue. And what we're dealing with here is something called a chronic inflammatory response syndrome, CIRS. You can Google that one. All of these syndromes, which include things like post-Lyme infection syndrome, post-vaccine syndrome, long COVID, post-flu syndrome, post-COVID gene therapy syndrome, mold toxicity syndrome, chronic fatigue syndrome, all are associated with this chronic inflammatory response. And there's a parallel condition that a lot of people talk about called mast cell activation. That's often part of these inflammatory conditions because the whole immune system is kind of ticked off and doing different things. So the approach to all of these is to reduce inflammation in a variety of ways, and the list of things to do is immense because every syndrome is a little different. Here's one. Hi, Dr. Harvey. Love your show. Any opinion on methylene blue? Yeah, methylene blue is a methylating agent, so it helps with detox. And the nature of methylene blue is like any other methyl donor, methyl B12, methylfolate. It's nothing special. It's a methyl donor. But it does have some special indications. It can help with cyanohemoglobin. If somebody's poisoned, you can actually reverse that. And so that can be of help. And finally, can serotonin syndrome from 20 years ago have long-term side effects? Absolutely. You get a reset when you take serotonin and serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. They change the way your hard wiring is working. And so if you had an event from that, you can still have some hardwiring issues, but you can still work on rewiring. And there's a bunch of things to do with that in neuroscience, including taking some lithium. Lithium is in low doses, helps to build new brain cells. Tryptophan helps to build new brain cells too, because it helps with building serotonin levels. So these things can be really good, as well as omega-3 fats. Fish oil is awesome. But hey, we're down to the wire. So until next week, I want to thank Bill for running the boards for me in-house and Sage for answering all the phones. I want to thank everyone for calling in. I'll talk to you next week.
And thank you, Dr. Harvey, for another informative and rewarding Healthy Steps radio show. And thanks to all of our participants, listeners, and supporters. You make this show exemplary. And Sage, thank you for answering the phones today and all that entails. This show would not be possible without your assistance. You have been listening to the Healthy Steps radio show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. Waiting for you like a dear friend is 5 minutes of NPR headline news, and then get ready for the Sustainable Living Show, hosted today by Annie Ellis. So until next Monday at 10 a.m., Thank you for supporting and listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa, your community-conscious radio station. Stay safe, stay thoughtful, and know that you are loved.